I got a really big bomb to drop.
That makes the internet so much easier to navigate, honestly.
There's so much great stuff happening on Solana. Do you feel like the price is indicative of the work and the traction?
No.
And that's not the only bullish thing that's going on.
You're literally losing your money. Like it just takes a week and you're liquidated.
And everyone just fucking talks and talks and talks, and nobody just does the damn work. And this is what doing the damn work looks like.
But it is not getting boring here. GM, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, to Sol Brothers, Solana's finest podcast, with my dear friend Eno and myself, Simon, where it is our job to throw you into the Solana rabbit hole and show you around this exciting ecosystem.
We're here to teach you about the latest and greatest on Solana so that you never run out of fun things to talk about. Simon, it's been a while since I fucked up an intro.
Perfect. Thanks for doing it again, just for the vibes, you know, just to remember where we're from, where we're coming from the early days of podcasting, where we used to be noobs and didn't know shit, but now we're experts, aren't we?
Yeah. I feel like yeah.
More conviction.
Yeah,
a little bit more.
We've gotten better at this for sure.
Thank you.
You've gotten a lot better at this. I have just managed to not screw up the intros for a while.
That's fine. No problem. We are not here for the intro, you know. We are here for a full session of latest and greatest on Solana, because that's what we do at Sol Brothers. And let me tell you, you know, last week has been fucking insane, because I don't even know what's happening in the world. I think we're literally living in a reality show. It's very entertaining. I don't know if it's good. Probably not. I don't know what Asia thinks about the Western Hemisphere. They're probably laughing at us right now, but it is what it is. We definitely have some shit to cover. We definitely have some, you know, political shit talk to do here, just for the vibes. Obviously, you know, everyone has their own opinions, but we'll share ours. And I think most importantly, we give people the TLDR of what's happening right now in the world. Because when I saw, firstly, Elon shitting on Trump and basically telling him he's on the Epstein files, I was like, why would he say that? What happened? What did I miss? And then I tried to kind of take a step back and understand what happened. When was the first time, you know, that you kind of saw the dispute and asked yourself,
exact same tweet that you're talking about. Yeah. There was a lot of copy pasta around, which was going around like, I got a really big bomb to drop, right? Which is the way that he started his tweet. And so what I noticed were the shit posts. And there was like a bunch of copy pastas where like, I got a big bomb to drop, and they would talk about their protocol or something retarded like that. But then when I looked at the quote, what they were quote tweeting, I was like, oh, what? I got really confused. Did you hear about that news? I've done a deep dive on this. Did you hear about when there was a NASA director that was recommended by Elon, and then Trump decided not to go for him?
I did not. Recently?
That was last week.
Okay. Well, that makes sense.
And apparently that was the final straw. Like, people keep talking about like EV credits and all that stuff. That's actually not what Elon is upset about. Elon is upset because he had a person that he had recommended for the NASA directorship. And, you know, that's really important, because if you align NASA with SpaceX, you know, that's billions of dollars more in Elon's pocket, or in SpaceX's pocket, right?
It could be the thing to make his journey with SpaceX more successful.
Yeah, right. I mean, there's a lot there, but that recommendation was very important. And Trump decided not to go for that director because he donated to Democrats. So that's why Trump was like, I'm not going to put someone in the NASA directorship if he's only donated to Democrats. You know, and that's his prerogative, but that's why Elon lost his shit. It was all fine
initially. Yeah. What sparked Elon losing his shit? Wasn't it something else? I mean, we're going to roll it back That's what we do today, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna, tell you guys the whole story of what happened over there. We're going through some tweets that we prepared to just basically reconstruct what happened. But without going too deep already, I think it all started with Trump not committing to cut spending in a way that Elon was foreseeing it happening, right? Like Elon wants US to be out of debt sooner than later. I mean, not out of debt, at least stop fucking increasing debt, letting debt skyrocket year by year, day by day. Like he has some sort of interest for probably particular reasons in pushing his Doge agenda, not the crypto token, the Department of Government Efficiency. So
that is 100% accurate, but it's also the second blow to the Trump-Elon relationship. The first blow was he started getting into fights with Trump's cabinet members, which was fine. Trump is okay with a little competition between people who work under him. But Elon started getting so much power within the White House. He was getting classified briefings from the Pentagon, right? Some of that has to do with like he owns Starlink, and Starlink is enormously important to the military effort in Ukraine, as well as other conflicts in the world. Whoever has Starlink access has a competitive advantage on the field. So that was, one thing. So he was getting these classified briefings about China, and then that was the first blow to the Trump-Elon relationship, and where Trump kind of like soft cut ties. He's like, okay, you've gotten a little bit too. He flew too close to the sun. That's the biggest cardinal sin. If you work for a man like Trump, is you never outshine Trump, and he was starting to outshine him. Then the second thing is exactly what you said. It's exactly what you said. So now we're here.
That makes sense. And I think there's two things that I'm grateful for when it comes to getting news firsthand when working in crypto. These two things are either someone launches a meme coin about some narrative in the world, and I'm like, what happened? Why is there so many meme coins about the fucking Pope? And then I hear some fucking story about what happened, right, in the real world. So that's always like the signal of what happened. And then the second thing, very simply, is just that look at crypto market cap, total market cap of crypto. Look at Sol price, BTC price. Check what's happening, and be like, wait a second, the chart is speaking something. The chart is telling me a story here. What's the story? And then you start digging, and then your curiosity kicks in. You're like, okay, why did it dump? Why did it pump? Why are we going sideways all the time? Why is there so much volatility? And then you understand. And that's my segue into quickly talking about prices and quickly talking about Solana, the token. Just look at the chart, and then we might be able to understand a little bit how these fundamental news that we're observing right now in the world play into the token price or not. Right. So if you don't mind, maybe you can pull up the screen share of myself, so people who are watching our pod on YouTube, thank you so much. They can see now the Solana chart. If you are in the live stream currently, you can also see the screen share. And if you are listening to our podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcast, as you should as well, then I will do my best to explain what we're looking at. So currently, Solana is trading around the $150 mark, which is obviously also some psychological resistance around that level, simply due to the fact that humans like clean numbers. It is actually a thing, right? Like whenever we're approaching $200 like levels, volatility kicks in. And even now we can see, if we look at the VSOP, which is basically telling us the total buy and sell volumes on the right side of the chart, we can see that the $150 range up to $145 or even $140, there's like definitely a big peak in volume and resistance, right? So basically that means price gets stuck in that area a lot, while prices can move much quicker, and we actually saw that happening here in the area above $150 to like 164. Now, I'm looking at the 4-hour chart right now, so we're pretty much zoomed out. I don't need to repeat what we've seen since the 7th of April, which was a 5-wave move to the upside. Confirmed, that's done deal. What we're now looking at is basically, okay, what's the journey, what's the story going forward, right? Because we topped out at $185 here on the 14th of May, which is now like, more than 2 weeks ago, right? Almost 3 weeks ago. And since then, we're moving downwards. And the big question in the room is now, A, where's the resistance to the downside? Like, how low can we see? And B, when is the confirmation in, or a plausible confirmation in, that prices actually move higher again to the upside? Because what I'm tracking, just to maybe zoom out one step further again, what I want to see is obviously this big next rally on the charts that could bring us to the target range of $360, right? This is the next bull leg that we're watching here, which would be a fifth wave in the macro, like completely zoomed out daily chart right now on a logarithmic sol chart, so we can actually track the waves a bit more accordingly here. And we have a 1, 2, 3. We have a 4. The fourth wave played out basically between between March 24 and today. That's the fourth wave here. So it's been more than a year now going sideways here. And we saw this first attempt to a breakout to the upside. I'm considering this an A, B, and C right now. And that's the fourth wave, right? And we did it. We stopped out at $109 approximately. Obviously, we dipped a bit lower, but we stopped at a very significant resistance level for this fourth wave. And now we're watching this upside move. And we want to see the $360, but the question is when and how. And are we in there already, right? And as you can see, there's an alternative scenario even on my kind of long-term chart here, which we actually, it's the first time I actually see that right now. We tapped into this alternative scenario's resistance to the upside, which would be a larger ABC than the yellow scenario. The yellow scenario is basically already played out, ABC, and we could go up from here. In a bearish scenario, we basically just did an A wave and now recovered in a B one, but we'll see one more low. And that low could be a blow, right? So this is the bearish scenario. That bearish scenario could bring us down sub $100 levels again, right? There would be a deeper fourth wave correction. Right now, my main scenario is the fourth wave is playing out over time, not over depth, right? So we saw a very long sideways corrective move here. We technically reached the validation point already. That's enough of a pullback to go up from here, but we could see prices up to $75 if we go in that red scenario. But let's zoom in and let's give people the idea of the immediate next steps here, okay? Because right now, trading $150, as I said, there's quite some resistance. And I have to say, I'm at the point right now it has been a while, that I'm not 100% sure going forward what's happening here. Because we saw from the last pullback here, we saw impulsive recovery, a 1 wave, a 2, and we could be in a third wave right now. And I thought it's going to play out basically over the weekend now, right? Today is the 9th of June. I thought over the last weekend, we're going to see that push here to the upside in the third wave. The target for the third wave would be $164-ish, okay? That's what I'm tracking here. But the third wave is not really impulsive enough. We saw a big drawdown here again. So I think we are now at a point where we would have to go up to keep that bullish scenario basically intact. And it's still my main scenario. Okay? I'm still betting on that, even though this looks a bit messy right now, the third wave, because this didn't play out, ABC. Like we saw one pullback, one overshooting B wave, and I thought we were going to have one lower low here and then go up. That would be perfect. We didn't see that. The bulls came in, basically pushed the price up, but then we got rejected again at the $155 level. So I think from here right now, this might be a result of the political and fundamental issues in the world right now, because the chart looks messy, and a messy chart and kind of, Fibonacci levels not being 100% respected. Like whenever Elliott wave theory kind of goes at its edge and doesn't work out perfectly, it's usually a time of high volatility and uncertainty. And that's literally what we're seeing right now, because everyone's like, what the fuck is happening? So long story short, my primary bet right now, my main scenario is higher prices. I did close all my shorts. I did have shorts open, as I told you before, a few weeks ago, all the way down until here, basically until 140-ish. Right, I closed them all, and I left a little bit of a short active, but it got stopped out yesterday at this pump here. Right, so I'm out of positions now, and I would be inclined to open along, but it is risky right now because it could break down. Right, that's the TLDR of Sol price right now. Clear?
Yeah. So I wonder how like we talk a lot about the TA, but I'd actually like to dig like one level deeper and actually get your opinion on this. We just had Accelerate. Before that, Crossroads. After that, Solana Summit. There's so much great stuff happening on Solana. Do you feel like the price is indicative of the work and the traction?
Not at all. Unfortunately, not in the short and midterm price actions. Not at all, because there's too much volume being pushed around the market, too much price manipulation really from people with liquidity in the chart that can move the price as well, which is completely unrelated to the current blockchain fundamentals, right? So I think Solana as an asset, Bitcoin as an asset, Ethereum as an asset, they are really decoupled in the short and midterm from any fundamental news on the protocol level and the app layer, right? You can't build. I mean, you look what needs to happen to move the price up. Meme coins, right? When they happen, but that was huge. That created so much freaking volume and inflows and liquidity. That was huge, right? That is the significance of an event we need to move prices of Sol, the asset, the gas layer basically of Solana. That's the core utility of that token. Like pay for gas fees and put it into DeFi, to create pools and so on. That's the second layer utility for it. And these two utilities, they are becoming very, very much needed. The demand for the token goes up, but to create so much demand that it moves price, you need to do something insane like meme coin mania. And it was a meme coin mania, right? And at this point right now, we don't have anything that creates a demand to that extent to move the price. But last but not least, to kind of flip side of the coin here, in the long term, it does definitely have a big impact on the price because we can create more of these demand drivers, right? But it takes time. And right now, markets are just driven by overall the overall liquidity in the world. They're driven by fundamentals of the macroeconomy, by BTC, which is very strongly linked to the world economy, and by traders' conviction into political decisions right now. So that's the truth, I think. My truth, not the truth.
I feel like my bet is that a lot of the amazing work that's being done by the Solana Policy Institute, as well as Solana Foundation, and the conferences that we're throwing, will have really significant downstream effects 6 months to a year from now. There are institutions, there are regulators that are meeting with the Solana Policy Institute and Foundation as we speak. I know this because I've spoken to some of the team members that are actively courting the Middle Eastern Virtual Assets Regulatory Authority, VARA, right? People who are actively talking to the Monetary Authority of Singapore, people who are actively talking to the SEC of the United States. So I know for a fact that all of these conversations are happening right now. And what that means is that there's going to be, I think, a wave of countries that start to allow more kind of Solana specific activity, whether that be staking or building or issuing ETFs or whatever the fuck that is, right? Once that floodgate is opened, then companies are going to join the fray, and like that's when I think you'll see banana season, and it's going to get pretty crazy pretty quickly. But that's just my bet.
It's coming. We're still waiting for it since a year, man. We've been almost a half a year. We've been talking about it a lot, and that could be this next push, right, in the market, because the bull market is difficult, right? People keep saying it all the time, and you can see it at the best. You can see it at the Bitcoin fundamentals and indicators. Bitcoin has had such a weird kind of bull market. It didn't really move a lot. Like normal bull markets, prior bull markets, Bitcoin moved explosively up in a short time. Right now, we have like a small to minor price appreciation into new highs over a long time, which is kind of new, right? It's a new dynamic we haven't seen before, and it's partially due to complex fundamental news in the world. It's partially due to the fact that the asset is more mature, more liquidity is in it, investors that are more institutionalized are there, that are usually bringing less volatility into the market, right? So it's definitely different. But I think I want to say that as well, when it comes to prices, fundamentals, and so on, Bitcoin is still prepared to push, right? We haven't seen the last push at the Bitcoin. You can track Bitcoin kind of sentiment very good using RSI indicator, buy and sell pressure. Like RSI gives you an idea of, is it oversold? Is it overbought? It works really well with Bitcoin. Bitcoin has an average RSI of around 65-ish or something, which is high for an asset, right? Stocks are usually between 50 and 30 or something on an average. That means that it's always overbought, like Bitcoin, usually, like historically. But it's going down slightly, the average RSI. But right now, at this very moment, we are on a daily chart, weekly chart-ish, on a zoomed out chart. We are still in a below average RSI environment for Bitcoin. And we haven't seen a heat up phase, right? Where the RSI goes to 75, 80, 85, 90. Where that's usually a bull market. That's a push.
Yeah.
So there can be more buying pressure. We haven't maxed out the buying pressure. It's just one indicator. There's more, right? But I think I just want to make that statement, and maybe we can use an episode in the future as well to maybe talk a bit more about Bitcoin when it comes to fundamentals and indicators and the asset, because it reflects so much on the SOL price as well.
Another question that I have and sorry, I just have a lot of questions today, just because I've been thinking about the markets quite a bit for whatever reason. It's been on top. I usually never look at the charts, but been kind of paying attention to them this week, especially with all the stuff around Elon and Trump. And do you think it's possible that, in the same way that we had a decoupling of price between Bitcoin and the rest of the alt currencies like Ethereum and Solana, right? Could you imagine a future in which we see the same dynamic play out between Solana and kind of like meme coins and governance tokens on Solana, where Solana itself pumps because massive institutional investment via ETFs or other vehicles, or even just companies that are accumulating more and more SOL, and maybe that doesn't trickle down, that liquidity. Like, sure, SOL is pumping, but none of that capital is going into Cloud or Solid or Drift or Jupe. I'm wondering, or Bonk. I'm just wondering whether or not you could do you think it's possible for there to be a decoupling there as well?
I think the decoupling is already here, because especially if we're talking about alts versus main asset, main protocol asset, because the main protocol asset always gets more attention, right? Liquidity is much more deeper there. The price moves very different. So especially zoomed in, right, in the short term kind of price increments that we're looking at, Solana moves already quite decoupled from a lot of underlying assets. But here's the but. Look at traditional markets, as well, right? Like S&P 500 moves, right, and tracks an index, a basket of 500 companies, but they all kind of move a line, like even those companies, and they all have their own fucking business balance sheets, their own business. They have completely different economical business setups, right? How they make money, how they make profits, what are the dependencies of the stakeholders, right? So the individual protocols of the S&P 500 companies are completely independent from each other, right? As it looks like. They move in the short term. They can move very independently. Maybe one company puts out a balance sheet that is very bullish, right? And when they do their quarterly numbers, and then price goes up, right? But overall, S&P as an index moves in sync with the world economy as well, right? So usually when the big 3, 4, 5 companies in the S&P pump, you can see capital inflows in the whole capital sector, right? So I think the more mature crypto as an asset gets, the more we see a similar dynamic in crypto assets between traditional company assets as well, right?
Yeah,
it's not completely new what we're doing here. The dynamics of market assets, how they move.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that. Sorry, I just wanted to. It's interesting just to see how prices are moving these days. It's yeah. No, it's just interesting to see where Solana's at right now. And it can feel frustrating sometimes from my perspective, because I'm like, why isn't the price reflective of all the cool stuff that's happening around here? But I guess sometimes other things matter.
Other things matter, and then also it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter because we're here also for the tech, right? We're here for the to build companies to solve problems, and price is going to move eventually, right? Like so, whatever. Like we just need to believe in something, right? That's the that's what
believe in something. Do we want to show some of these Trump Elon tweets, or do we want to go 100%. Straight into Circle? Okay, all right.
Let's go through the journey real quick. So to give people the TLDR of what the heck is happening. Okay, where do you want to start?
Yeah, I think this is a great place to start. So Trump has this big, beautiful bill called BBB, and Elon has been very vocal on news, on podcasts, on Twitter about he thinks it's a horrible bill. There's we're going to add $1 trillion to the U.S. national debt. Here's a nifty little tracker of the U.S. debt clock, and currently we're at $37 trillion of national debt, which is a lot of fucking money. And wow. Elon is a classic conservative, not the type of person that has a problem with trans people, but the type of conservative that has a problem with big government and inflated budgets, a classic conservative. And so he wants the smallest government possible. Trump is very much, adding a bunch of pork fat, which is additional spending to get senators and House of Representatives, people in the House of Representatives to vote for it. And Elon has a problem with this. He wants Doge. What was the whole point of Doge, Simon?
It was basically to get what you saw on that world clock, on that world debt clock, to get that number the fuck down. And you actually see it as well. I don't know how accurate it is, but if you look at that world clock, there's a Doge element on the left up corner. Basically the Doge clock that tells you how much does the Doge campaign, the Department of Government Efficiency, how much money does it save right now, right? How much debt can it cut? And this number goes up, but it's so insignificant in comparison to it doesn't. It's like if I can drop on a hot stone, it's gone. But at least it's there, right? And Elon wants this number to go up to erase U.S. national debt at some point, right? Which sounds insane, but you got to start somewhere. And historically, it has been it never happens, because politicians, they can't do it because it hurts them. It hurts them. Everything you have to do to put debt down in the US will impact everything that matters to people negatively, right? You risk price appreciation, more expensive products, worse employment data, jobless people. That always sucks. Like you risk your GDP to basically decrease over time, to make your country enter into recession because of cutting things that you need right now to keep it alive artificially, right? So if you deactivate all the machines, right, you're killing your baby and you're killing your patient here, which is the country. And that wouldn't help Trump to be reelected. So it is, and that's the same story with every politician before him. That's why it never really happened, like the debt cut. So it's really a very particular situation.
Yeah. All late stage capitalist trading nations, I think at some point get here where we are right now, where we just need to print more money to pay down debt. And the one thing that's super unique is that the United States has basically not a monopoly on military activities around the world, but it's no question that the United States military is the strongest military in the world, the most well-equipped military in the world, the military with the most intelligence. I'm not saying the smartest, I'm saying like actual intelligence, military intelligence. And also the US dollar is used everywhere, in all reserves and treasuries in the world, right? So like, when is this all going to topple is a big question. But sorry, you were saying?
I was just saying, like, again, the government spent on military. Again, in the debt clock, you can see it. I think it's the third or fourth biggest contributor to the national debt. So usually the world nation state that has the right for, or that accomplished currency standard, right, in the world, forex standard, which is the US dollar. That nation is usually the leading military power as well in the world, because they just can print money to build military equipment. Basically, they can just, you know, they have and it has been like this always. It has been like this with the Great Britain Empire. It has like this with every empire before that, right? And now it's the US. So, but they all fell down at some point, which is, you know, we kind of have to remember that sometime, right? The Roman Empire has been there for a long time, and people living in the Roman Empire thought it's never going to end. And where is it today? What happened to Rome?
Yeah, I'm not saying that the U.S. I mean, it's clearly no longer the American century, and if it was the American century, we're towards like the last 10 years or so of the American century. But again, like, our current situation is so unprecedented. Like, no previous empire was as dominant as the U.S. is right now. Does that mean that it can't all topple? No. But, we live in a global world now, and everything is connected. And it's like, if the United States falls, everyone falls. It's the true for any other country, by the way. If China were to fall, then everyone would fall. I'm not saying that's specific to the United States. But it's very clear to me that the spirit of Elon's work was good. Right, I agreed with what he was trying to do in principle. Trump wants to continue to spend. Elon had a problem with that. They had a bunch of things that they disagreed on. And Elon over here is like, without me, Trump would have lost the election. Dems would control the House, and Republicans would be 51-49 in the Senate. Such ingratitude. I mean, clearly, it's gotten extremely, extremely personal.
Yeah, like I said, it's really, and that's just the beginning, right? Like, let's see what else you got.
Unfiltered Boss said Trump is going to lose this one, but on Truth Social, Trump says the easiest way to save money on our budget, billions and billions of dollars to terminate Elon's government subsidies and contracts. I couldn't keep that voice up for very long. And I was surprised that Biden didn't do it. And then he also claims that it was really the electric vehicle mandate that forced everyone to buy electric cars. And so he no longer wanted to support that. And that's why Elon blew up. Which is just, from all reports, untrue. That's not the source of the tension between the two. Yeah.
Interesting, though. Like, they're really fighting like a couple. Anyway, let's see what else you got.
Yeah. I mean, this is from the infamous meeting in the White House where Elon was clearly on drugs. I mean, like, it's very clear to me he's on ketamine or something. He's rolling his eyes and like tripping in the White House. But yeah. So there's that. Trump doesn't want to talk to Elon anymore. And then Trump says that Elon was completely aware of the bill and he didn't have a problem with it at first until the electric vehicle mandate cuts. And then Elon says this bill was never even shown to me once. In fact, it was passed so quickly, no one in Congress or their staff has read it. And I think the last tweet that I have is, did you hear about the Dragon program, the spacecraft that they're building at SpaceX?
I don't think so.
I just love that Elon's response to that is, in light of the president's statement about the cancellation of my government contract, SpaceX will begin decommissioning the Dragon spacecraft immediately. Which is just such a... Of course he's not decommissioning the fucking Dragon spacecraft. I mean, that's ridiculous. Like, just off a tweet. But then some dude goes, this is a shame, this back and forth. You're both better than this. Cool off and take a step back for a couple of days. And Elon says, good advice. Okay, we won't decommission Dragon. Which is...
Yeah, he's shit posting. That's fine.
It's kind of dumb. I don't know. This is all very
entertaining.
It's surprising to me that people with this much money
What's that? Say it again, Yeah,
I was just saying that I find it funny that people with billions of dollars argue like the rest of us. They're not. I mean, they're just as petty. They're just they have just as much ego.
Yeah, no, that's a good indicator for that. Yeah,
it just makes you more of who you are. But I don't know. Like, what do you think? What bearing do you think Elon and Trump's behavior has on markets? Do you think it really has an effect?
Well, it will have an effect as soon as we see it to trickling down into relevant decisions, right, that are made for the macroeconomy when it comes to financial, like fiscal policy, especially. So let's see how this month goes, because I think we have CPI data this week, which is basically inflation data. Inflation has been going pretty well in the past months and weeks in USA. So it kind of went down, but then Trump right now wants rate cuts. He's pushing the Fed to cut rates, basically to for like a full percentage point or some shit, like very ridiculously high amounts. And that's not the plan of the Fed normally. If this debacle somehow trickles into decisions like this, and I don't know how that can happen, then it will have an influence. I think next week we have the FOMC meeting where we'll see kind of the next rate decisions. That might move markets as well a little bit. So those are still the market movers, not Trump and Elon, fighting some petty war between them on the Twitter timeline. For now.
Do you think the U.S. national debt is a hypothetical problem? Because a lot of people like to point out that, the United States has a lot of levers that they control, in which they can just continue to, mostly just printing the money. But also just arrangements that we have, trade agreements that we have with other countries, like how we settle our debt. I'm just wondering, do you think that the US dollar is going to lose its dominance anytime soon? Or is this like an imminent problem? Or is this more kind of like, it might happen if we continue down this path, but that's more like 10, 20, 30, 40 years from now?
Yeah, I think it could be accelerated depending on some of the developments in the world right now. But it's more like a decade thing, right? It might need a decade or two, some more long term. But it's on the decline, right? The currency's on the decline, and they really need to turn around the ship somehow. And I don't know if it's even possible. You can't get rid of the debt, that's for sure. You can't just erase it. You can't just, you can't just imagine it's not there. So they have to do something. And I think that's also why I still believe that in the midterm right now, since US has to do something, they do need to get more liquidity into the market again, with quantitative easing, or however they will call it next time, and further money printing. So I think in the midterm, that's what's going to happen. It will save the patient, no, right? But it will prolong its life expectancy a little bit.
Yeah, I see. Okay. Well, thanks for all your macro market opinions. I am a little weak there, so I definitely am leaning on your expertise this time around, amigo.
Yeah, it's called opinions, not expertise.
Yeah, opinions.
I'm not an expert, but obviously, what I know and what I think I know, I share happily with you and people listening to Solver. So yeah, but
I think you have.
We got more on the agenda.
We do have more on the agenda. I'm just saying that you give very solid opinions. So
no pun intended.
Absolutely intended. Okay, so this next piece of news is Circle, our favorite stablecoin issuer here on Solana, has listed on the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker CRCL. And it's a big moment, I think, for crypto. It's the first stablecoin company that's gone public in the United States.
Yeah, that's actually it's huge. No, I mean, Circle has been in negotiations in the past weeks for some sort of deal to kind of buy them out before IPOing, right? There's been Ripple, for example, making offers to buy Circle and so on, and it got serious, right? It was not. It looked first, I was like, what? You want to buy Circle? And then, I think there were actually serious conversations happening. But the plan was to IPO at some point, and they did it, and they listed, obviously, in New York on the stock exchange. And I think it's indicative for the maturity of our industry today, especially stablecoins.
Yeah. It's clear that Circle has been blessed by powers on high. So it's really big that we have a stable coin that's issued their stock in New York. But it makes me kind of wonder, Circle, like I have deep respect for Circle, but sometimes I kind of question like how crypto they are. I feel like companies like Circle are uber practical, which is fine, but they don't feel like crypto companies to me, which is, maybe a feature, not a bug. You kind of maybe need to be that way if you want to break into the US market, especially with our regulatory environment. And you got to play ball, right? And be less degenerate. But I would have loved to see CRCL issued as a token on chain, I could see many reasons for not wanting to do that and wanting to IPO instead. But like clearly it's, they're not exactly the most innovative company. Do you know what I mean? I'm not quite so sure if I'm articulating this so well.
Well, I mean, they're the backbone of a lot of shit, right? Like, and they're just a very, very serious company. And if you like, you might be entitled to, list on the stock exchange if you do that. And the thing is, like, why I think it's positive is because it allows us to attract more capital into companies like this. Like, once you're because most of the money is still not on liquidity pools on chain, most of the money is still being traded on financial stock exchanges, right, throughout the world. First and foremost in New York. So having a public company, like doing initial public offering of your company, why do you do that? Because you want to attract more capital, right? You want to get more money into your asset, and that's what they might be able to do. And if they can use that capitalization to build more exciting systems in the things in our ecosystem, then good. So I think USDC definitely is something positive, even though it doesn't, okay. Without going too deep into it, it is not what we wanted as crypto maxis and decentralization maxis and visionaries of building a completely new decentralized economy, right? That has no centralization factor. It is a very centralized company. It is not representing crypto values as we kind of as Bitcoin maxis might want them, right? Yeah. There's a reason why people like Charles Hoskinson from Cardano is like fucking anti stablecoins. He hates stablecoins. The only stablecoins he likes are algorithmic stablecoins that are directly linked to on-chain activity, which are very, very tough to realize, as we know. They never really worked out really well. But he hates the USDCs of this world. I think he doesn't even have them on Cardano, on his blockchain, because he says that they are just banks and institutions yet again, right?
He's not wrong.
Exactly.
He's not wrong.
Might be
100%.
Yes.
He's right. Yeah.
But do we have to swallow that pill if you want to make internet capital markets a thing? Maybe.
Yeah, you know what's really funny is it's kind of like everybody is on a different part of the decentralization spectrum, and so it's funny because the founder of Cardano, may he rest in peace, but I'm sure that he would see some of the products and services that I personally like to use, and he'd be like, he says he's all about Solana. He says he's all about on-chain. But like, if you look at like what he's actually using, the products and services, like this guy is clearly not acting in a way that is consistent with the crypto ethos, being decentralized. And it's funny that I'm also pointing the same finger at Circle, because they don't fit my standard for what like sufficiently on-chain means. So I guess I guess what I'm trying to do is point out how silly it can be to play this game of like how decentralized, and I'm only realizing that right now how silly it sounds, but it's kind of like how decentralized are you, and then like we kind of are all pointing fingers at each other.
Yeah, it's true. I think it's still the lesser evil, as long as we're building systems here that solve existing world problems, like financial inclusion becomes more real, money moves quicker, more efficiently and cheaper. Ease of use to use financial systems gets easier. Privacy features are easier to be realized if wanted, right? Because without any crypto and blockchain elements, I don't know if it's going to be a world where I want to live in. If there's only digital currencies basically spun up by governments directly, like the digital euro and so on, what's coming. and I don't have any other safe haven to move my money into, right? Because cash is going to be obsolete, like they're gonna ban cash at some point, like they banned gold before, right? They're gonna say there's no cash anymore. You just can't use it. There's digital euro now. We gave you 10 years to get rid of your cash and move it into euros. Now we're here. It's going that moment is going to come at some point, and then like everything is very transparent, and government knows exactly what you're doing with your money. And I want to have alternatives, to that system, and I think we can build them with crypto. So, but again, huge topic. Bottom line, USDC Circle on the stock exchange is something bullish for crypto and Solana, at least for now.
Yeah, totally. And that's not the only bullish thing that's going on in Solana, Simon. Of course, we also have Orca. Our friends over at Orca have released a new feature, which is adapted fees for liquidity providers. And essentially how it works is you have a base fee that never changes, right? So this base fee is a standard fee that you would get when you deposit. But then also you have this adaptive fee that is added on when the markets become more volatile. So, if you're just trading bonk on a normal Tuesday and it's not the price action is not too crazy, then, you would just pay the base fee as a trader. But obviously, if bonk is super hot and people are trying to get in and out, you'd want an adaptive fee, so additional fees on top of the base fee to incentivize more liquidity provision. And like I would imagine, as you get more capital into the pool, obviously the adapted fees will probably be a smaller share. But yeah, the whole point is to have like a smart adaptive fee structure where in a normal market where it's not too crazy, you just pay the normal fee. And when everyone is trying to get into bonk or out of bonk, that you would be paying this additional adaptive fee. So I actually think that's really cool. For LPers. Do you do any LPing, Simon?
A little bit. I mean, I'm a protocol founder with a live token. I kind of have to know these things and immerse myself in them. And so yes, especially when it comes to Solid and our token, like I
absolutely. Right.
But I'm not a Meteora, Orca, Radium pool expert. So I know there's people that are doing this for a living, right? And LPing for a living, basically. And I think it's very interesting, but not my expertise, definitely. So that's also why I'm super excited about simplifying these processes, right? And the platforms are doing it. I think what Orca is doing here, their focus right now is on attracting LPs, basically. So new, they want tokens to open pools on Orca, right? More pools. We want more token pools to be created, and we want more people to deposit liquidity in these pools. So what you have to do, you need to ship features that make it easier or better for users to open and manage pools. Adaptive fees, play that strategy. So I think Orca keeps shipping right now. What I think right now is that they are hungry again for innovation and are actually trying to ship cool shit, which I love. Orca has been around for so long, right? So I really want them to succeed.
Absolutely. And if you go to the Orca website, you can go to this section here called pools. And if you're in the pools page, then there's like this filter feature. If you click that filter, then you can click adaptive fees as an option, like so right here. And if you click adaptive fees, it'll show you the adaptive fee pools. So there's only 4 right now. It's Fartcoin over Sol, Sol over USDC, Sol over USDT, and Coinbase BTC over Sol. I thought that was a very interesting choice. And they're incentivizing these 4 pools with $20,000 worth of Orca tokens. Sorry, what was that, Simon?
Oh, I want to say they're like super low TVL still, right? So it's very, very early, as it looks like.
Well, I mean, this is when they shot the video, so I don't know where exactly. Actually, that's a good question.
Sorry, I didn't. I thought you're showing on the screen right now a live view.
Yeah.
It was we just shared the announcement basically. So that's good to know. But where they stand now, yeah. So actually now we have a shitload of pools already. So there's not only those 4. Yeah. And
quite
what's the biggest one?
Really?
Ordered by by volume or TVL, yeah. But there's the TVL.
It's Sol USDC. That makes sense.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
But it's like, dude, it's like $300 over for like $1 million of TVL.
Right. Yeah. Low fee.
But hey, free money is free money.
Exactly.
Yeah. Can't be one to complain.
Nice. Bullish. What else got shipped on Solana?
Yeah. So what else got shipped on Solana is donate.gg. This is a project that's run by a very close friend of ours, Sun, who's based out of New York. So I don't know if I think you met Dark Mode over at New York. She's the Korean American woman. And she's the developer. She's working on a new way to donate on chain, and they accept Bitcoin, Solana, and Ethereum, as well as stablecoin donations for St. Jude's, which is I think the biggest children's hospital in the United States, and they've raised $350,000 for charity. So I think that's just absolutely phenomenal. I love to see stuff like this succeed.
Mm-hmm. That is actually a cool product as well. First of all, domain donate.gg. That's cool.
Yeah.
Right. Then, you can do on-chain donations.
Holy crap! Time.fun donated $350,000. That's crazy. Special thanks from all the Time. Yeah, that's where they got the majority. But I mean, still, there are other people that are putting in smaller amounts. But I just absolutely love that they're. You know what? I'm actually gonna hold on. I don't want to dox my shit, so just give me a second.
You want to put some bucks in there? That's how it works.
Yeah,
right? You can just connect your wallet, put in some SOL, and send it directly to donation. Very easy. So what would you say is the big feature here? What's the big advantage of .donate.gg that makes the product interesting? Is it? I would say it's simplicity, basically, user experience for donations being super easy, no friction.
Yeah. I just think that it's just that no one's really view all wallets, Soulflare installed. Nice. Connect. What do I think the main feature is here? I feel like no one's built something this simple before, right? And I'm using a test wallet, guys, and yes, I am broke, but let's see, how much do I not have any USDC here? I feel like I don't have very much USDC here. Okay. Yeah, I'll just be donating some SOL. Let's max send to, I mean, it's nothing, but I just want to test the platform,
if you max send, you can't do anything with that wallet anymore, right? Because then you don't have SOL for gas fees.
That's fine.
That's okay, right?
That's okay.
Yeah, okay.
Don't care. I'll just go like that. All right, there you go. Sure, 3%. There you go. Or
support.
I do not know what.
Okay.
Okay, so so their business model is they don't even charge anything. You have to donate. You have to decide to donate. Okay, I will do this with a different wallet later. This is my fault because I'm doing it with a wallet with basically no money. But but yeah, no, I do love this idea of it's like a swap interface, but then to the charity of your choice. So that's really cool.
Nice.
Yeah. Proof of donation, instant settlements. I love that's when I think ecosystem is becoming more mature, when you see products and services that are succeeding, but they're not speculative. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, that can bring in users as well. I can explain it to my mom. She'll get it. She get what's happening there. So that's a good product. That's a win.
And it's got to be one of the easiest ways to send money, honestly. Because any other platform, it's like you're using a fucking credit card or a wire transfer, and then they're taking 5%. It's just forget about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, we just need more people to have a wallet by default. That makes the internet so much easier to navigate, honestly. Because that is the friction. That is the big problem that we have. Because if my mom wants to donate now, I need to get her, a wallet, and I need to get her some money on that wallet so that she can donate. And that's where the friction comes in right now. But if it would be if owning a wallet, a funded wallet, would be like owning an email address. That's the future I want to see, because then everyone has it. And then these apps become so easy to use. Connect wallet, use your kind of internet agnostic account, your wallet, right? You don't need to open a new account with every app. You just log in, and then bring your all your data with you, because that wallet now acts as your account for everything, right? So user experience can become very better in the future, where we see more people having wallets. So wallet companies out there, I'm vouching for you to get more users. So Software, do your goddamn job. I know you do. So get more users in there. But I think also Juke Mobile has with features like the universal send. They're exactly on that path, right? They got it. Like Jupiter got it. Like, we want Juke Mobile to be the normie friendly crypto app, right? So they kind of understood that whole idea, which is great.
Yeah, the DeFi super app. Actually, I was talking to Vidor at the same dinner that you and I were at over at Crossroads, and I thought the most exciting or interesting thing that he told me about Solflare's go-to-market is that they've been making a lot of progress in emerging markets in partnership with All Stars. And All Stars is essentially conferences organized mainly in emerging markets. So we're talking Argentina, we're talking Indonesia, we're talking Nigeria. And so Solflare has been doing a lot of distribution there, and they have, hundreds of thousands of users just in those countries. And it just goes to show the power of people. Everyone, I think the lazy thing to say is like Nigerians don't have money, which is like on average true, but false in the sense like in aggregate. Of course, Nigeria has money that's worth going after. And that includes their wallet usage. And Solflare is getting a lot of great usage over in Nigeria specifically. So I just kind of feel like, that's a great go-to-market strategy.
Yeah, smart. I mean, they're at this point for a reason, right? Like, they're a very successful company, and they did some good decisions in the past, I guess.
Yeah. And I guess another product announcement that's quite interesting. Are you a fan of beverages, Simon? Do you like a good clean beverage?
I do drink things, if that's the question. So, I like beverages. I do like beverages. There would be such a cringe thing to ask on a date with a woman. It's like a typical thing a man says when he doesn't know any questions anymore. He's like, "By the way, do you like beverages?" She's like,
Do you eat? Do you?
Yeah. No, what I'm saying is, what do you like to drink? Oh, you asked me what I like to drink. Well, I do drink energy drinks once in a while, and my energy drinks that I consume are usually not the healthiest ones, but there are healthy energy drinks, even on Solana. What am I talking about?
Do you even drink? Do you drink Red Bull? Do you drink I've never seen you put any of that shit in your body. I feel like you've been, but this feels like an energy drink that Simon would endorse, because it's like 15 calories or something impossibly low. They use organic caffeine. I didn't even know that synthetic caffeine was a thing, but obviously that makes sense. Yeah, I didn't realize that. Obvious when I think about it now, I had no idea that there was such a thing as so-called synthetic caffeine. But yeah, Flojo is extremely low calorie. The flavors are like sparkling. What is this? This mango, yuzu, guava, passion fruit, peach, lychee. So it feels like very Asian-y, right? Kind of like Asian fruit flavors. And you might be like, why are you talking about drinks here? Like on a Solana podcast. Well, first of all, their pre-orders are now available for the United States and Canada. And the second reason why I mentioned Flojo is because they do a lot of distribution in Solana events. They're based out of, I believe, Singapore or maybe Canada. I get a little confused. The team is very distributed. But like this has become the favorite drink of Super Team Singapore, as well as like all the builders out in Asia. I have had these drinks, and I can vouch that they are actually very delicious for very low calories. And yes, I do want the sponsorship. I want to be sponsored by Flojo.
Oh damn, that would be great as well. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. free fucking Flojo drinks shipped to everywhere where, okay, let's do it, I'm in.
Yeah.
They have on-chain elements. If you, it sounds crazy, but they do have an loyalty program on chain. So when you order your drinks with them, you actually earn points linked to your wallet account that's being either created for you or that you already have. So you earn 2,300 points with every carton you pre-order to the USI or Canada if you go over to early.drinkflojo.com.
Yeah.
Bullish.
Yeah. I think that people always talk about like, oh my God, we're going to use crypto to issue points and those points are yours and we'll take them seriously and give you rewards. And everyone just fucking talks and talks and talks and nobody just does the damn work. And this is what doing the damn work looks like, is that you create a product, a standalone product. It could be successful on its own. It doesn't really need the on-chain elements, but you supercharge your distribution, your awareness through on-chain stuff, right? And so it's very hard to break into the drinks market. There's like a lot of things that you have to do with distribution, as well as like the logistics of production and shipping those beverages to where they need to be. But there's also just like the attention element, right? And Solana and on-chain points are a great vehicle to get more attention for your beverages. So again, I'm a we're not sponsored by Flojo, but I personally have you tried Flojo yet?
Of course. I drank it. I met them super early, like when they were very brand new. I met them in Malaysia.
Were the one. You're the one who fucking told me that there was Flojo in the Super Team Canada fridge. It was actually you who made me aware that they were even here.
True. Yep. So yeah, Flojo, I think Asian team, and they are shipping to Hong Kong and Singapore, but now brand new as well to US and Canada.
Yeah. So congratulations to Paul and Chrissy, the entire team. Congrats on the launch in North America. And moving on to even more news, Simon. There's this feature with Jupiter DAO. And essentially what you can do is if you click notify me, then you can receive email alerts for every vote. It could be quite hard.
Why is that important? Why is that important? Because you want to keep up, right?
Want to keep up, and you want to earn your active staking rewards. You can't earn active staking rewards if you don't vote, which would be a shame. So if you were a staker of your Jupe and you want to be aware of when to vote, this is the very smart way to do so. Highly recommend that you sign up for these email alerts and never miss a vote so that you can get your staking rewards. You've felt the pain of missing a vote, right? Like that's a very painful experience.
I mean, I'm just checking on mine, and there's a few that I missed because you just can't. We're not glued to the timeline that much. I mean, we are fucking glued to the timeline, but sometimes you just miss things, right? Email alerts, easy peasy, straightforward, and the Jupiter proposal for the Jup and Juice pod has been done, and it has been accomplished. So actually, shout out to Jup and Juice, because as I understand, if my facts are correct, they passed the vote actually quite close, I think, like in favor because there has been, I think, 25% votes against Jup and Juice being basically a full working group with working group budget, but they made it. And that is good for these amazing podcasters because they're actually doing a really good job. So big shout out to the in-house Jup and Juice Jupiter pod team. Our podcast friends, made it as an official work group.
Always love to see our podcast friends winning. I also just want to comment on the current state of Jupiter DAO voting and some of the complaints by the community. Like, some people have issues with paying creators, and they feel like that the salaries are too high for the work that's being done. And I just, first of all, this money is not related to Jupe, right? Like, this is a part of the Jupiter DAO. And so like the whole point of that money is to be as capital efficient with it as possible, but let's be clear, is to use it, right? And to use it in a way that's beneficial to the Jupe token as well as the community. And I just kind of feel like Look, I don't want to be the guy that says like, "Hey, you got to spend money to make money." Am I right? Like that's a lazy point of view. That you don't always have to spend money to make money. Like it's be capital efficient. But it's like, and this isn't even about do I like Satchel? Yeah, I like Satchel as a human being, but like I voted yes on the proposal for just the value that's provided. And I just feel like people are like they can't move beyond their own personal worldview of like how much a salary should be. You know what I mean? I don't think that they're properly evaluating talent and the value that's being provided. I don't know. Like, what are your thoughts on that, Simon? Like, you know, there has been a little bit of spiciness between community members about whether or not to fund the Jupe and Juice Pod with the DAO treasury resources.
Yeah,
Do
not only them, right? Like it's been all of the proposals always get backslash, but that's normal. That's why you vote, right? Because you have people for it, people against it, and then the majority vote makes the deal, right? So and we should listen to the critiques, and we should listen to them and react to them, and give them the 2 cents. But my 2 cents are that good work needs to be compensated. Talented people are scarce on this planet, and getting them to work for your protocol to ship value and create more long-term value will require some, you need to throw them some bones, right? And you can't expect everyone to work for free. So,
yeah,
at the end of the day, like, and Jupiter is well capitalized as a company. It's not like they have to, they have to crumble their pennies together. So yeah, like all in all, healthy critique and skepticism should be there always, right? So that the money doesn't get wasted on things that might not add long-term benefits. But if it's for a working group or individuals that can actually move the needle, then it's an investment, right?
Yeah. So yeah, totally. And another piece of Jupiter news that I think is even more exciting is that Solana Foundation, Jupiter, AIX, and Intebix. So if I'm not mistaken, AIX is like a TradFi issuer of stocks, and Intebix is exchange based out of Kazakhstan. So this is all based out of Kazakhstan, right? But they've signed a MOU to do dual IPO listings. So what that means is that if you take your company public over in Kazakhstan, not only could you issue your stock on chain, but you could do it through traditional markets. I mean, in this case, it would be AIX. I am a little skeptical about whether or not this will become anything. Like, will people go to Kazakhstan specifically to issue both on-chain and real world stocks? Like it's like equities, it's possible. But it's super interesting. This feels more like like what's your take on this?
I think it's huge because we're a step in the right direction, and we need to start with the countries and nations that are open for things like this because they're more hungry for innovation, right? And Kazakhstan is actually a great example. I didn't know how crypto positive they are actually. I just heard it for the first time when talking to BM. So thanks for letting me know. But they have no tax on even if you incorporate there on your profits, so like zero tax environment. They give you super easy on-ramp and off-ramp options for your crypto company in Kazakhstan. So all you need as a builder, basically, they have. And now they're also signing partnerships like this, promoted officially by the government as well, and together with exchange partners. And it's a step in the right direction. I think that might help other companies as a case study, other countries as a case study to understand what we're doing here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Ooh, yeah. Cash Donda has a new title at Jupiter, apparently, the Chief Operating Officer, Cat Harder, Kazakhstan's leadership.
Sorry, because you can't go in these conversations with like Web2 institutional companies and tell them you're the cat herder. You have to have some sort of role, right? Like they would be like, what are you doing? So who am I talking to? Why do I talk to you, the cat herder? Can't they send someone from the sea level? And then he's going to be like, yeah, I'm the CEO. And he actually has he said what I'm thinking, right? So what is he saying?
Yeah, Kazakhstan's leadership is a signal to the world. The future of capital formation will be on-chain, transparent, and interoperable. We look forward to collaborating closely to define compliant and scalable frameworks for decentralized finance. which is, music to my ears. And of course, we have Akshay as well as some others who are providing some comments, all very excited for this partnership for dual IPO listings. I am curious whether or not this will turn Kazakhstan into a future destination for, company formations and incorporations. But it's interesting first step. If you're looking to take your company public, perhaps the best way to do that might be in Kazakhstan in the future.
Yep. Bullish.
Yeah. And we are still not done with the culture and news today. This is, I think one of the last things that it is the last thing that we'll be talking about today. But it's a little bit of how you speaking of trading on leverage, Simon. I mean, would you recommend most people to trade on leverage?
No. Of
yes.
course not. You're losing your money if you do that. You're literally losing your money. It just takes a wick and you're liquidated. Trading leverage means you're taking a little bit of your own money and a lot of other people's money to then make a bet, a gamble on something that you potentially have no idea about. And then those other people that lend you that money will take your money. So that's something that happens very quickly. So I think you should be aware of that this is a possible scenario. But everyone can do what they want on their own risk.
Yes. And so that's pretty, what do we say? What do we think about James Wynn? And how would we even describe James Wynn? I don't even know who he is. He's just kind of
Same.
Popped up in my timeline over the last few weeks. He had something like $1 billion position, something ridiculous. I think he started with $75 million. He grinded his way to 75 million, and I think used that 75 million to get up to, I think it was $1 billion in leverage. Maybe it was even more money, right? And he got liquidated there, and then he can't stop gambling. He did it again.
Of course not. Yeah.
How sad is this? He's lost all of his money, and he said, I scraped together $468.62. I slammed it 40x, a chip and a chair. I am all in. What was once $1 billion in position value is now $18,000. And the update here is James Wynn has been fully liquidated. Current balance $16.28. I mean...
What a story!
Story.
Honestly, this is a perfect story for greed and emotional trading, and falling too deep in the rabbit hole.
Dude, this is the minus. I was right. It was $70 million. He had $70 million, and now that $70 million is zero.
Bro, I'm sorry, dude. I'm really sorry for this man now. It's his own fault eventually, but he definitely needs to take care of his mental health now, because that fucking hurts. You can't, I have a wallet with a negative P&L, and I never log in with that wallet to my trading platforms anymore because I don't want to see it, and it's just so painful. And luckily, I have other wallets with positive P&L that make me feel good again. Yeah, you should definitely take your profits early, lock them in, and fucking, put some money to the side. All in mentality when it comes to gambling and crypto investing, which sometimes is the same thing, is not a good mentality.
Yeah. James Wynn is the poster child for what not to do. But how did he get the 75 million in the first place? It was by insane leverage.
I'm definitely sorry. Because he did a obviously good job to get there. It's not easy. So he did a good job on getting there, but he should have stopped at some point. So James Wynn is now James Lose. Sorry for the bad joke, but it's over, my friend. You should stop gambling. No W.
My wife says this all the time, and I very much agree. But easy come, easy go, right? So if you're earning money that easily, it's very easy to lose it as well. So just something to keep in mind if you're leverage trading. Best of luck to you,
Yep.
and God bless you. But you're probably gonna lose all your shit. So.
Damn, she must have a very smart wife, because that's
Yes.
a very good point.
Yeah.
All right, my friend. I think we gave the TLDR of the last fucking days in crypto, which is a lot. It's a lot to digest, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, it is always packed, but it is not getting boring here. So that's for sure.
No.
So let's see how the Trump and Elon dilemma goes and proceeds. Let's see if Solana manages to push that third wave to the upside, and we can reclaim the bullish kind of outbreak to the upside, because we want to see those $360 again on the Sol price. So let's see how we proceed on that. And I think we're gonna have enough to cover again when it's time for Sol Brothers next week. But for now, let's call it a day. And thank you for being part of Sol Brothers if you are. Thank you for being subscribed to our YouTube channel and for following us on Twitter if you are. And thank you for tuning in to our podcast on Apple and Spotify. We are going to keep shipping, and until we see you in the next Monday, we wish you a very happy and successful week. So thanks, Sol Brothers, and we will catch you later. Peace out.
Adios, guys. See ya.